Hello, everyone. Welcome back. View from the sidelines. Hammers Poles. It's me, Fever in the house, and I am joined by a special guest who I'm quite happy to have on tonight. He's Jack Mack from Liverpool Football Club. Big Liverpool fan. Jack, it's been mad for you. It's been mad for you for the last couple of days, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, lads. It's an absolute pleasure. Obviously, not the best circumstances, but I think it's great over the last couple of hours, and we'll discuss on tonight's episode, mate. Our football fans have forget rivalry. We've come together and obviously eradicate. Hopefully, it's the start of eradicating the evil within the beautiful game, mate. But cheers for having me on, boys.
Yeah, that's no worries, man. No worries. I've got James from the Anvil on, and I've got Cathal all the way from sunny Ireland. And in the waiting room, ready to come on, is the man who's in the know, West Ham Online. How you doing, sir? Right, Jack. Let's get into it, mate, and then I will pass it on to the lads. Sunday night or Sunday daytime, you're enjoying your Sunday. If the sun is shining, the birds are tweeting, everything's all looking good. Sunday night, you're on the verge of possibly losing your club and losing your history, mate. How's you feeling on Sunday? Just gone.
Absolutely fuming, mate. It's a thing. It's none of us. I don't think even Klopp or the players and anyone really knew of it. Yes, there was rumblings of it was happened so quick, and obviously the fans haven't had a say. And as always, people at the top of the clubs never really delegate with fans. Even if you have to ask, you've got Kenny Dalglish in the boardroom. You only have to ask Kenny is this decision going to go down well? And it's just another mistake from FSG. After season, you make some great progress within the football club. You make 5 steps forward and then 10 steps back every single season. Deeply disappointing, mate. Yet again, naivety from these billionaires running our clubs.
I agree, mate. James from the Anvil, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Obviously, you heard all that. What's happened? We've got a Liverpool fan. You got anything you want to ask the Liverpool fan tonight, mate? About his club?
I'd just like to touch on something because Liverpool have American owners, right? So I live in North America myself, and what I can tell you is that this whole thing about the European Super League was to turn clubs into franchises, and I think that's what these billionaire owners are doing because some of them own other sports teams in North America. If you're over to North America, US, or Canada, no matter what league you go in, you'll hear no team is referred to as a team; it's referred to as a franchise. Why? Because it's marketed. It's marketed out. As you notice, that's why things like the LA Lakers are marketed all over the world. That's why things like the New England Patriots get marketed out, and the fans end up being the ones not even treated as customers because they pay into it. And it's actually cost more money I would argue, to own a North American sports team than it probably just own a Premier League team. What these American owners are doing is that they're treating the Premier League like it could be some kind of franchise league. And the European Super League just went against that. It's just because there's no relegation, there's no promotion. It takes the competitiveness away. There's no competitiveness in North American sports. I'm a sports journalist myself, and I cover North American sports, but there's no competition in North America. So for that reason, they would have just wanted to eliminate that just for their own greed and just to fill the pockets.
Yeah, spot on, mate. It's sad that I think all the football fans, especially in England, we understand they are businesses, but it's taken away from the standard. They're going the game. You're paying for Sky, you're paying for BT. Everything surrounding football has increased, and UEFA and Sky sitting on the high horses is absolutely laughable. Thinking that they're the good guys within this whole debacle, and they're frankly not. And I'm hopefully in the coming months and years, really, we take them upon task, really, and just the start of demanding real change. But yeah, absolutely spot on there, Jay.
Yeah. West Ham Online, mate. How you doing tonight? Got Jack in the house, and what do you want to ask him, mate? Obviously, it's been a mad week. Me and you discussed it the other day. We've got a Liverpool fan here who's been through thick and thin in the last week, mate. What do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, I've quite a few things to say. First of all, before I come to my question for Jack, I think what James just said was spot on. When Stone Kroenke made these comments of he can't see why people wouldn't see the Super League as a good thing, he was looking at it as as an American sport standpoint, if that makes sense. He doesn't understand English football, and I doubt he even I doubt even watches Arsenal play.
No.
But to Jack, before this all went down, I've seen FSG out before in past seasons, and I must admit, last season especially, I was a bit confused by it because of what happened regarding the Van Dijk deal and the way you reinvested. I thought was fantastic from Coutinho. Have you always had a negative outlook on FSG, or do you think this has been the sinking ship this moment here?
Yeah, I've always been on the fence, mate, and I think the fan base has been really divided. Obviously, they've brought in Jürgen, which he's a fantastic world class manager, but he was the person that brought the players on. He's brought the success back to the football club after 30 years, first league title within 30 years. It's amazing. There was a decision which FSG made, I think it was last year or the year before, with the £77 tickets, in which obviously that was very publicised, that the fans left on the 77th minute. Especially, you don't have to be a brain scientist to actually understand the working class aspect of Liverpool as a city. The footballing decisions as well. Obviously, they tried to copyright, trademark the word Liverpool, which is ridiculous. It's frankly impossible to do that. And the council and everyone in around the city brushed it off really because it was staggering. And obviously, this is. We weren't all surprised by this, as James has mentioned. All these American, not just Liverpool, but within England as a whole, the thinking, they're so narrow-minded to the point of forgetting what really matters, and that's the fans. And I think what we've seen over the last 10, 20 years, even since the introduction of Sky Sports News, football, and we've seen the likes of Bury Football Club, the likes of Bolton, Wiggins as well, really suffer at the hands of mistreatment from people at the top of these clubs. Same with West Ham boys as well, like a great historic football club moving from Upton Park. For me, I loved going to Upton Park, fantastic world-class stadium. You felt so connected to the pitch, and I think really West Ham have suffered. Obviously, these owners, they say, it's for these benefit purposes of wanting extra revenue. It's not. It's all just to save money at the end of the day for them as individuals. And I'd understand if FSG were putting the money in the back of the pocket, but we all know, Liverpool fans, well, I'm speaking for myself, I know for a fact that they're just going to throw signings at us and go, forget about everything. We're not going to forget about it because there's been so many bumps in the road within FSG, and they haven't got the bollocks to step back into Anfield, I don't think, mate. They honestly haven't.
Do you know what? I agree with what you just said there. I just want to ask you, though, before I ask Cathal his question regarding Liverpool, what did you make of John W. Henry, is it? His apology?
Yeah. It's scripted, mate, as you'd expect. You can only see from his glasses the placement of the flowers behind him. It was all set up. It was a PR, because all of his, the fact that obviously Arsenal, with their apology, they at least admitted they were wrong and they apologised. But they had a Manchester United quote on the Liverpool website in the first initial statements from all six clubs, obviously with one of the Glazers, whoever it was, mate. But I didn't buy it. They had to do it from a PR perspective. They had to at least release something, because you would have been playing with even more fire if Liverpool still didn't have at least. He hasn't got a backbone, John Henry, to stand. He hasn't even got a leg to stand on, really, after this.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I do. I see that in the interview, and I just. Obviously, I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't know. I don't really relate to the owners at all. But seeing it and seeing how it come across, it did seem very sort of scripted, as you said.
Yeah.
And it was, I couldn't put it any better, mate. Cathal, how you doing, my Irish brother? Talk to me. How what you got to ask Jack, mate, regarding the last 5 days of what's been going on in the top six or big six?
Well, in all honesty, it shows that it takes a lot to feel bad for the big six clubs fans, and that's exactly what we've even gone through. I felt bad for all the fans. Liverpool's been a club for over 100 years. Liverpool have been a thing well before FSG were ever there. They'll be a thing long after FSG have gone. So it's awful to see that someone can come in and just try do what they want because they technically own the club or whatever, but they don't own the memories and they don't own the fans. They don't own all that. They just own the bloody name rights and all this shit. It's awful to see it. But my sort of question is, like, what do you think should be done? I've talked to like just personal friends, and I've seen it on Twitter with a lot of big fans. Whenever they were still technically in the Super League, it was, oh, I don't care if we get relegated now, do whatever you want. I don't care about the club. Now that they're all back, I've seen people claim, oh, our owners are heroes for leaving it and all this crap. And then also they think, oh, we're too big to be fined. All we deserve is a slap on the wrist and say, come on back, boys. We can't do it without you. So what do you think should be done? What do you think is the sort of punishments that need to be handed out?
Yeah, no, from my point of view, mate, it's boss to speak to always tonight, boys. Yeah, it's really whatever punishment is dealt, it's going to be the fans. If it was Liverpool, West Ham, Leicester, all these fans throughout the Premier League, it's always the fans that suffer, and even the players and the managers. The fact that Jurgen Klopp come out and he didn't have an absolute Scooby-Doo, what had happened, and he basically threw FSG threw him and his players under the bus on live national television, like it was for Ollie and his Manchester United side. It was mistreatment from owners, but it's disgusting, mate. And I think whatever happens, if it's a points deduction banned from Europe, we'll accept it. I know you'll see the odd silly sausage on Twitter, but don't take one person's opinion on Twitter as gospel throughout the whole of the fan base, mate. But yeah, we'll accept it like you'd expect, but it should be. I wish it would just be an easy case of there needs to be some structure and it's reform throughout the whole of the Premier League. There needs to be a proper structure within each football club. There needs to be fan representation, which is the massive thing. Yes. It baffles me that there isn't within all these West Ham and Liverpool, because all these owners, regardless year upon year, it's just, they're making all the same mistakes. Yes, it's a business at a point of view, but at the end of the day, it's a sport. We've grew up watching our family members introduce us to the beautiful game, and our granddads, our dad's dads, and everyone before us. It's for the love and passion of just seeing 11 players on the football pitch, regardless of wherever you are in the UK or around the globe. It's a beautiful game, and sadly, it is going down an avenue in which it will probably self-destruct itself if there's no regulations put in place.
What do you think, though? What do you think, though, Jack? I was going to ask James something and all, but I'll ask you this first, Jack. What do you think should be done, though? So it don't ever happen again and get in this situation ever again.
The Bundesliga model, mate. Obviously, I think everyone said it on social media. That is the correct way to go through. I know the Premier League denied it. I think a lot of Premier League fans denied it, and we wanted all these rich owners to come into the beautiful, especially to English football. We all thought it'd be lovely. We'd be signing all these big players. Obviously, as football has progressed over the last 20 years, the prices have creased up, and that was obviously with inflation, with the pricing of tickets, shirts, everything in general, in which you consume football in every channel. And model the 50+1 rule. It's a lot more easier to say than implement, because I don't think these multi-billionaires will shift for anyone, which is a sad point. But that's what I'd love, mate, because imagine going the game for 20 quid and obviously football being a lot more accessible for every single person, whatever walk of life you are.
Yeah, I agree. I do. It's not like years ago you could go with a family and it was affordable family prices. Now you're looking at an easy 200 quid at best, and that's minimum. You know what I mean? If you go there with your 2 kids or something and you got to buy them food, drink, maybe like some memorabilia or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just a fortune nowadays. And
It's the kids, isn't it, mate? Obviously, you're looking
Yeah.
at a kid. Just like if you got a family, couple of years in the family, it's like 150, and that's with like the shirt sponsors and everything. The one thing that riled me, and I don't know if you is outside ones, if you picked up on it, was the legacy fans, FSG class Liverpool fans as legacy fans. Obviously, fans that I grew up as growing up. You don't look to the legacy fans as being the people in which you want to target within their strategy of obviously as a business. Yeah, which is frankly disgusting. Remarkable, but that is their thinking. The blatant disregard to the loyal fans. Obviously, someone coming from abroad spending $5,000 within the club shop is a lot more appealing for them. But at the end of the day, wherever you come. I know a lot of my mates they live abroad, but they're coming over and they support Man City, United, and all that. But it needs to be a lot more accessible for everyone. But it's crazy. The naivety and it was the way in which they expected to get away with it. Every single one of them, all 6 of them, like it would be nothing. It's just baffling.
Yeah, I agree, mate. James, obviously you're abroad. You're over in Canada, America way. What's the reaction been like over there to it, mate?
They don't get it. I'm just going to put, actually, you bring up a point. Do you know what? I've heard so many people, I mentioned this on my channel. I hear so many people, I actually heard this when I was at uni, someone say, I want to go to England just because I want to watch the Premier League. And I didn't say anything, but deep down the comment pissed me off. Because I'm thinking, you're not going there because you genuinely give a shit about any team. You go in there just because you want to say you were there. And I remember correctly, a Liverpool fan on the Redmen TV told Chris, Liverpool is like a tourist club. And that's what I see a lot of here in Canada. Fans who, I see Man United and Man City fans over here. There was a Man City fan in one of my classes, and I said, do you know who, you say you're a Man City fan, do you know who that actually is on the back of the shirt? It was a Colin Ball jersey. He's got no idea. It's like, you know, they just support the club just for the success and hop on the bandwagon, but don't really get what it's all about. And it annoys me. Me being a British national in North America, that pisses me off the one aspect about football in the Premier League in general.
What is it though, James? They can't sort of grasp over there. Like, is it because we don't class any football as a franchise over here? It's in our lifeblood. Like, I've grew up with West Ham. Like, probably Jack's grew up with Liverpool. Like, he's got family members who are Liverpool fans, and like, what are they not getting over there? That it's not about making money. It's about what our club does in a 38-game season and cups and what it means to the community, so to speak. What are they not understanding over there?
The format of North American sports doesn't translate to the UK, basically.
They've no pressure on.
Yeah, exactly.
No relegations.
Yeah, and they couldn't understand. Usually in North American sports, when it's drawn at the end of regular time, it goes to overtime. When I was watching a West Ham game with some of my mates and it ended like 2-2, they said, "Where's the overtime?" And they couldn't even believe. And the other thing is they couldn't believe foreign players. They said,
they get rewarded for playing shite. Like I pay attention to the NBA myself. Like, if you finish last in your conference, you get up for number 1 draft picks, the top draft picks. Like, you get rewarded to make you better.
I've heard that.
There's no relegation.
I was on American Hammers last night, funny enough. And they said if you finish, a bit of it, James. If you finish bottom of the league in their sort of table, you get their best player the next season. So arguably, if the top player comes available, to say what they were saying was if people basically people do it on purpose to lose. So what they do,
the Philadelphia 76ers did it.
Yeah, they keep losing, so they go, you know what? Next season we're going to get the best player to come out of for the draft pick. But it's mad. West Ham Online. I've got a question for you, mate, from Simon here. I want you to go through it. Can somebody explain what the 1 means in 50 plus 1?
So 51% of the club will be all the choices of the club will be chosen by the fans. Say you see how Bayern and Dortmund were selected as Super League teams. Because more of the club is owned by the fans than the owners, you can't actually overrule the fans' decision. The owners or whoever's in the executive meetings will say to the fans, "What do you want to do? Super League, no Super League?" And I imagine the overriding vote was clearly not to join the Super League. So it's just so the fans and the community can have a say over the owners, who most of the time are just looking for the money and looking. It's just so people can't come in and look to it as a business, basically, because in the Bundesliga they look at their teams as their passion, their their local teams. That's what it's like.
working
in the
class.
They're run by retired players as well. I know. I don't know if they're technically the owners, but the boardroom is run by the old players.
Yeah.
Team. I know, with Bayern and teams like Dortmund and all, they are run by them. So on both sides of the 51 and the 49 are technically fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't get why people, and especially in North America, why has everything got to be a business? You know, if you want to make your money, go over to Dogecoin. Why are we looking at all this? Why is
it's easy money, though, isn't it?
Business all the time? Yeah,
it's easy money. Well, what it is. What people got to understand is football's the biggest sport on the planet, and
too much integrity in it to
Those Americans
franchise
disagree.
Would they, Jones? Would they?
What do they call it? The World Series, the World Series, and all.
Baseball's actually the highest paying sport in the world. They earn shit tons on massive contracts.
Yeah, but is it the highest earning? It might be the highest paid, but
that's what I was going to say.
Worldwide, I'd say football earns more. It's just because they've less players. If
people have to differ,
if you don't have a world sort of league, if you have only one country league, you're able to pay all them players a lot more money.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that NBA thing you just said, I mean, I watched the NBA and I've always thought that is ridiculous. Like, you imagine you get the two teams who are the worst playing each other in the last game of the season. Oh, I wonder why he's.
The season doesn't matter really, because you already know at a certain stage. They already know. That's why there's a lot of the times you look at an NBA game by the mid to end of the season. There's not even fans in the stadium because the ticket prices are insanely expensive, and it's not worth going.
It is in hockey. I'll tell you something now. In hockey, it is like the shitter you are, the more expensive the ticket is. Edmonton, where I live, a season seats the equivalent of about £15,000 a season ticket. For the Los Angeles Kings, it's £20 per ticket. There's no logic in that. I actually used to work at that. There's no logic in it.
Yeah. How does that work, though, James?
I don't know. It's like the more nosebleed you go, the cheaper the ticket is.
Yeah. Mad. Well, let's move on let's move on from it because we'll all go berserk. But Jack, talk to me, mate. Liverpool, what's happened this season for you boys?
A bit of everything, mate. Poor results. Every aspect, every avenue that you want to go down. Van Dijk getting injured, Gomez getting injured, Mata getting injured. But we just frankly haven't been good enough, mate. At the end of the day, the levels in which we've reached over the last 2-3 years prior to this season have been phenomenal. But at the end of the day, the winning mentality, obviously last season, when we just won the league, it was always a case of, yes, we were drawing late, we'd always win, but Henderson's been massively missed as well. The driving force in the midfield, I know there's not outside of Liverpool, he's not really rated, but I think especially due to what's happened over the last 48 hours, you only have to see the real leadership in which he has, obviously, any commands within his fellow professionals. A mixture of Trent and Robinson getting exposed. It's no plan B or C, or if we do, then it's teams have figured us out, and it's going to be a big season, mate. It already was for Liverpool prior to this fiasco that's happened with FSG. I know I mentioned you probably will try and throw a load of players at Klopp, but there's going to be a lot more having to be done with that, mate. But I've enjoyed watching West Ham this season, mate. If Liverpool don't get in, and Moyes done a fantastic job. He's very difficult to beat, and you never know. That's why it's going to be important in the next 48 hours. What happens with UEFA if the top 4 or top 6 do get kicked out or suspended for next season, then it's going to be absolutely pivotal for West Ham, mate. But at least some teams are playing better than us this season.
Yeah. Well, we're playing all right. We're playing all right, but as West Ham fans all here right now, we know we're one bad result away from dropping like a stone. But West Ham Online, what do you? How have you assessed Liverpool's season this year from an outsider looking in, mate?
I thought at the start, obviously they were a bit inconsistent at the start, but they were still near the top. I thought Robertson actually started the season really well, but as Jack's just said, he's gone off a bit. They've had a lot of injuries at centre back. Let's get that straight. I think correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but it was like 19 different centre back partnerships, or
yeah, I think we're on like 23, 24 now, mate. It's ridiculous. Well, that's the owners, and obviously Jurgen Klopp's not addressing the centre back issues, mate. But yeah, I think for any team in world football, that is that disrupted. But at the end of the day, it comes down to squad depth and not leaving. I think next season we've had Fabinho and Henderson playing centre back. Imagine Mark Noble playing centre back for West Ham or sort of. Maybe mad. They're not centre back, right? But yeah, go ahead, lad.
Yeah. I must admit, I agree, mate. I don't want to see Mark Noble anywhere near the centre back position. That's for starters. You know what I mean?
No.
Cathal, right? You're in Ireland, mate. You got a lot of Liverpool fans. What have they said in Ireland regarding Liverpool season this season?
With the season,
yeah.
You see, there's a lot, like it's 50-50 over here. A lot of them are sort of like whenever like 5 years back when they were shite, like when they were finishing, weren't great, but before he's had that good season with Rodgers, but then he's sort of tanked a bit. Like people were sort of just like, oh, I'll give up on them. I won't support them anymore. And then when they come good, you never hear them stop talking about it. Like they can be very annoying over here because they're just you'd always think they're a team that were entitled to win things just because of their history over here. But in fairness, they were the best team in the world for a year and a half, 2 years. And it was never going to last. It doesn't last for any team. And then whenever it does go down, like of course there's a lot of complaining. You can't blame them for it. But we're West Ham fans. We complain for a living half the time. So it's one of those. Like there's an awful lot of them. Like that's the thing over here. You're going to have majority of them Super League team fans.
Yeah. James, and I'm going to ask this question to Jack in a minute. How do Liverpool bounce back next season, in your opinion, mate, from an outsider looking in?
Keep everyone healthy, I think is one thing, and improve the defence, because they got two really good fullbacks in Trent and Andy Robertson. And the injuries to the centre backs means that those two have had to focus on defending rather than attacking, and both of those link up usually well with that front three. So forcing them to drop back more has had less intensity up front, I think. And Fabinho getting injured obviously wasn't helpful either, so there's nothing there in the to cover in the midfield. So they need to make the defence healthy, and I think they need to invest in a little bit more defence, because Van Dijk's been injured for a while. He was their best centre back without a shadow of a doubt. The reason people have been getting on Trent's back saying that he's been bad defensively, well, he's had to defend constantly without having to attack because he can't focus on attacking when there's not a lot of defensive options there. Robertson has been a bit off as of late, but as for the front three, is still pretty much fine. I mean, there's not Salah, Firmino, and Mane is probably the best front three I've seen since the Man United Ferguson days. So they've still got a very clinical front three, I think. Salah's probably not been as clinical as he has in seasons before, but he's still doing really well. They've had been dealt some pretty tough cards with COVID diagnoses and things in players' personal lives, but they can bounce back if they can sign a few defensive players, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Jack, obviously you've seen the boys this year play for you. Hasn't gone as well as you expected, mate. What do you want to see come the new season?
hopefully we can get all the nonsense off the field for football fans and FSG and everyone's owners, really, West Ham's owners, Liverpool's owners. Hopefully there needs to be some regulation that get that sorted. And if it was, as the lads have mentioned already, Liverpool been very disappointing, and the Mane has been a shadow of himself. I think obviously him with getting COVID, he hasn't really recovered. It's been a weird year for everyone. I think everyone's struggled, whether you're a footballer and just in the whole society, really. Salah, if it wasn't for him, I'd be very worried where Liverpool would be this season. His goals have been ridiculous. He's not played his best, but he's just a goal getter, and he was the only real threat against Real Madrid over the two legs. I think Firmino, I think they need a rest. Jota was introduced this season. He's a real tricky customer. I think he raised a lot of eyebrows when Liverpool signed him. I think everyone outside of Liverpool was very surprised he come to us, but he's been a phenomenal signing. Everyone was looking at the likes of Adama Traore in that Wolves side, but when you speak to all the Wolves fans, he was the real deal within that Wolves setup that really posed. I think going forward, we will see possibly Jota getting a lot more starts next season. We need definitely a very much a creative midfielder, especially when you do come up against a low block side this season, the likes of West Brom and Burnley. Jesus Christ, when you come to Anfield, it has been the case when all the top sides have come. Well,
is that what Thiago was brought in for, though?
Yeah, but he's the only real creativity. Yeah, it's obviously he's played in the 2 at Bayern Munich in a 4-2-3-1, didn't he? I think we will see a possible change in system. I think
he also had an insane workhorse beside him with like Goretzka and Kimmich in the squad. They were just mad. Like they never stopped running.
I think Thiago's introduction coincided with Liverpool. I think everyone was like, oh, Thiago's forgot how to play football. He's not a bad player. You don't become a bad player overnight. I think him next season, he will, alongside if it is Henderson or Fabinho. I think we miss Coutinho still. Yes, we sold him, got Van Dijk, but I think there's some games where you just like, even you've all watched Liverpool this season, lads, haven't you? And you're like, they're just trying to pass the ball in. What are you doing?
It's no one.
Yeah, we just keep on crossing the ball for the sake of crossing, and you're like, we're doing nothing. And that's rare. And obviously, Jay mentioned Robbo and Trent are so pivotal to Liverpool. Well, have been over the last 2 to 3 years, but this season they've been very ineffective going forward because they've got no Van Dijk and Gomez behind them that can just clean up every single ball that gets put in behind it.
What have you made of your like defensive cover that you brought in? You brought the young lad in from Schalke, and you brought in the lad from Preston, who I don't even think's played for you.
I think he's a hologram, mate. I don't even know if he's real because no one's seen him. I don't even know if he's real.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him play, but like, what have you made of the 2 defenders that you brought in? Well, one of them the hologram, and the other one.
Yeah, they were weird, mate. And like say other managers in the Premier League, I think Jurgen Klopp he left FSG left out to dry. Liverpool needed, it was so obvious from an outside point of view, Liverpool needed reinforcements within that transfer window. Well, prior to Virgil van Dijk getting injured and Matip and Gomez, I don't think anyone expected those 3 all to get injured. Yet Matip was very injury prone in his career, but for me, Matip, when he is fully fit, he's probably the 3rd best centre half behind Laporte and Van Dijk. Obviously, Diaz has come into the Premier League and took to the Prem like a duck to water. Really, he's been phenomenal, mate. But I think we need to struggle. We need better centre backs in. I know Koulibaly's been mentioned, but I think he'll probably go to City anyway. But Liverpool need to strengthen at the back and need at least another forward and midfielder, mate. Yeah.
So let's get into it. I've got a Liverpool fan here. Got Chelsea on Saturday. Leicester are currently beating West Brom. Top 4 chat now. I'm going to start off with James from the Anvil. Right, James, is this game the weekend for us? Massive.
It's one of the massive games, yeah. Oh yeah, it's one of the massive games. I think every game from now to the end of the season is going to be massive. So saying every game's massive is in my opinion, stating the obvious because it all is. But Chelsea just, I think, are they on the level as points of us? I think they are.
Same points.
Yeah,
and
same
when
points.
And when I say it's massive, I mean like, even to me, this game is massive because psychologically, like you go and beat your rivals, you're 3 points ahead of them, and we end up looking like a team with 5 games to go, pretty confident. Do you know what I mean? If we lose this game, I don't think we get top 4. Like, if I'm honest, if we draw the game, it's still open. It's all still open for debate. But what do you think on that? And I'll pass it around the room, mate.
What makes me a bit nervous is the fact this is a new Chelsea with Tuchel as manager. Now, if this was Lampard's Chelsea, I would be quite confident for this game. I think that since he's come in, he's got a lot of best out of some of those players. Chelsea have picked up a lot of form since he came in. But mind you, it seems like Chelsea's got a repetitive cycle when they get in and manager. They start off really well, have a really good honeymoon period, and it just turns to crap. So it's not turned to crap for Tuchel just yet. But that said, we do very well against Chelsea historically. I mean, we did a double over them last season, for starters. This season, we played really well for majority of the game and let 2 sloppy goals in the last 10 minutes. I think Chelsea's going to be now a difficult game under this new management, and a lot of good players in that team. Mount, Werner, Havertz has found his form. Pulisic's picked up a bit. To answer your question, can we get top 4 if we beat Chelsea? Yes, I think so.
Cathal, talk to me, man. Right, this game Saturday is massive. I'm going to leave Jack till last because I want to have a word with Jack about his game on Saturday or Sunday. I think he's got who you got on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Man United, isn't it?
It's a big game. I forgot who we got.
I think you got Newcastle.
Newcastle, yeah. Newcastle, yeah.
Oh,
United,
Newcastle,
I think the week. Yeah. They're a weird side, Newcastle.
They most certainly are. But we forget that from last week. But yeah. Cathal, talk to me, mate. Saturday's game. How important is this one, mate?
Well, as I said, I've said on the show before, James. Every game's important. We went through what we thought we'd get points wise out of every game, and we said if we were to lose points, we didn't expect it to be a loss. But if we were to lose points against Newcastle and take all 3 against Chelsea, it would be huge. I'm nervous because you don't want to watch your team fight the whole way 31, 32 games into a season and then make an absolute tit of it. I don't think the season's dead if we do lose. I don't think it's one of those. I think because there's Chelsea have so much on their plate right now. They have Champions League, FA Cup, Premier League. Like they have so much that I don't know if they can fully focus on anything. They've already played their last night they were playing. Then they're playing again next Tuesday as well. Like they have a lot on their plate. We need to take advantage of. It's great time to be playing them. Like they weren't on the best of form recently. I know that doesn't always matter. Like you have to take every game as it comes, but they haven't been on the greatest form. They're they have the Champions League in the back of their head, I'd say, and we just have to take advantage of it. Just bloody go, put out 4 at the back. Just fucking go for it. Who gives a shit?
I agree, man. Yeah, and that's the attitude that I want to see on Saturday. I really do. I can't be having 5 at the back and trying to set up.
I see. I still don't think we will because Chelsea play a 5 at the back, so we'll probably play one as well to counteract it.
Yeah, more than likely, mate. More than likely. West Ham Online this weekend's game, mate. I know we've all spoke, and we've all spoke for the last couple of weeks. We said this game was massive, that game was massive, but to me, this one is massive because if we do beat this team, then psychologically we've got a 3-point start on them, and they've got some hard games coming up. Do you know what I mean? They've got to go to City away, and they've got to play other teams. They've got to play Leicester, and they've got an FA Cup final to think about and all. What do you reckon, mate?
Look, after last week against Newcastle, it's going to be really tough to bounce back by beating Chelsea. I think we'd be stupid to play 5 at the back considering the fact that Dawson is out. So with Creswell out as well, who I don't think we will because I don't see who's going to play in the other centre-back role. And I've heard that Ben Rama's starting.
Soufal and Fredericks maybe. No one Moisey will find some way to not start Ben Rama.
Yeah, but I've heard Ben Rama is meant to be starting, so we'll see on that. But I honestly, I think we'll lose. If I'm being honest, with the injuries we've got and the way that Chelsea have been playing under Tuchel, I just see it going one way. Let's get it right. Tactically, Tuchel is one of the best in Europe. The reason why he gets sacked from roles is because he doesn't end up getting on well with the hierarchy, because he's a very demanding manager, and that's what the bloke at PSG said. But tactically, he's brilliant. I think it'll just be too much for us. He's absolutely blown Lampard out the water already, and as I said, with the injuries we've got,
Lampard was very demanding with no tactics.
Yeah, Lampard was demanding, had no clue. He was just like run around and do what you want. But Tuchel's going to tactically outclass Moyes, in my opinion, this game, and I'll be very shocked. Probably the most shocked I've been at a win this season if we turn around and beat them.
God damn, mate! I must be the only optimistic Amaria.
I think he's a beat Chelsea.
I was on the fence.
Yeah, I think he's a beat.
Chelsea's one of those games we were up for. I know we lost this season, but by God, did we play class that game? Same as the Man United game. Yeah. We were unreal. We were so good, and we just didn't make. I don't even know if it wasn't making the right subs. I know bloody the refs weren't on our side in the Man United one anyway. We got shafted, but just go at them like.
The thing is, and I'm going to ask Jack about his thoughts on the top four in a minute. But like for me personally, I think we can beat Chelsea. I really do. I think they're going to. Like they weren't brilliant against Brighton. Like, and I must admit, I watched that game. Brighton should have won that game. They hit the post. They was top class. Brighton.
James, Brighton should have won the league bloody 10 games ago with the amount of goals that club should be scoring.
I know, but we can score goals. That's the thing. But we can concede goals and all. So
yeah, we're the opposite. We get 5 shots, score 3 goals. They get 25 and might score 1 if they're lucky.
Yeah, I know, but we've got to stop letting our own players score the goals for them. That would help. Do you know what I mean? That would be a start. But Jack, talk to me, mate. Newcastle the weekend. You now it's all on the top 4 for you boys. And how important is it for you boys to get top 4?
Very important, mate. Well, we all thought it was a weird scenario. Obviously, we spoke about the potential Super League. It was a weird game. I've never felt that in my life, mate. Joe, if you're watching a game and you're like, what's the point of this result? I had it on the background, and I think all the Liverpool fans were like, it was a weird situation, mate. But obviously, it had importance. It's going to be tight. If we don't get it, we don't get it, because frankly, I don't think we deserve it off how bad we have played this season. But I think Jürgen spoke last week. The experience in which Liverpool have got in this position might be possibly very key. I think it's going to be another one of those games, mate, I've already alluded to. Low block sides coming to Anfield, frustrating us yet again. We went a couple of years without getting beat at Anfield, and obviously the impact. There's no other club in the Premier League that misses the fans more than Liverpool. I think the generation. I know that the atmosphere hasn't been the best over the last couple of years at Anfield, but we missed them heavily, especially within games. When teams are coming to Anfield Park in the bus, it's been very frustrating. And the game against Burnley, West Brom's, the Fulhams when they come to Anfield as well, and it will be the same case of Steve Bruce. I don't even know how he's a manager of a football club. Like when he played against Hughes. He's
negative. A terrorist, isn't he? He's an absolute terrorist.
Yeah, I don't even. He steals the.
He always beats us. He always beats us.
It's like St. Maximin, one of the most great attacking players in the league, and he's
not Aaron Lennon. That's the thing. He's just he's a Gucci Aaron Lennon. He is a very good dribbler. He's very good with the ball, and the problem with St. Maximin is he looks nice. Same as like. Bloody Andre Gomez same as Andre Gomez at Everton. They're lovely footballers to watch, but they don't really do anything with it half the time. Yeah, exactly. But he's real elegant on the ball. Even Ruben Loftus-Cheek is very elegant. Like they're lovely players to watch, and they sort of glide around the pitch. But Alan St. Maximin doesn't really have a goal in him. Like even that shot he had on, we should have stopped that, and we just scored no goals for making absolute tits of it.
Don't worry, they've got Gomez at Everton, and We've got Craig Dawson, so yeah. That's how bad he's got.
That's
Jamie Carragher scoring on goals for us.
Who's better out of St.
Oh, Carragher
Maximin
loved
than
no
Salah? He'd say St. Maximin because he just doesn't understand football. Probably only watches the dribbles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Souček, boys, I've been massively impressed with Souček this season. From an outside point of view, I love him. I think it was one of his
the opposite of elegance.
Yeah, he's built like a big brick shit house.
Have you seen us this season, Jack? Like from an outsider, like the players, like obviously we've signed some good players. I must admit, for a West Ham fan for many years, I've seen us sign some crap, and this season we've signed some decent players who are consistent, and that's the word I will use. They're consistently good. How have you seen it from an opposition fan looking from the sidelines?
You knew exactly what you were getting with David Moyes. Obviously, his time at Everton, Manchester United, Fergie believed in him. The board didn't. I think he was given a bit more time. United, I think results would have picked up there, mate. But he's very stable at the back, and I think that's something that West Ham have missed heavily. Obviously, with the interchanging of constant managers over the years, I think if you keep on believing in David Moyes, allow him time, like it was with Klopp, to take the players out that he doesn't want and bring the players in that he wants, to really believe in his vision. Yes, he's not going to be playing the most expansive Pep Guardiola, Klopp style of football, but he's a man that gets results, and if you give him time, I think he will catapult you, especially into a European competition. If you do reach the Europa League or Champions League, whatever happens this season, it's a massive improvement over recent years. But he's got the team working so well. And there's a
massive improvement of all time. It'd be our best season ever. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's good to see that players actually want to play for him, though, mate. Isn't it? Like he knows what he's doing. He's not stupid. There's been some managers managing West Ham over the years, even Liverpool, Roy and Brendan, Constant Bottler. Don't get me started on Brendan Rodgers. But yeah, you know what to do, and I think it's just whatever happens. Yes, if you go through your tricky moments with David Moyes, I think you just got to keep on believing in his vision. It's all right. The fans believing in the vision, just all down to the owners, mate. To all the owners.
And I want to ask you this, Jack. I want to ask you this, Then I'm going to let everyone ask you whatever they want, and then we'll wrap it up, right? But what's your opinion on Declan Rice as an opposition fan? Like, because a lot of opposition fans see Declan Rice, and some of them think he's overhyped. What's your opinion on Declan Rice, mate?
He's a very tidy player, mate. I think he's got how old is he now? Is he still 20? Is he 20?
22, I think. Yeah, 22, 23, something like that.
I think what he showed over the last 12 months, obviously, especially David Moyes coming in, he's a very capable player, mate. It would be interesting if he does stay at West Ham. I think it's important that he does stay at West Ham. He's getting 13 game time anyway, and there's been so many players out there over the years that have moved to other clubs. Look at Jack Rodwell. He was bigged up to living daylights. He was meant to be the next best midfielder in the Prem, and he just went and he's just spiraled down. I think he ends up at Sunderland or wherever he ended up. But I rate him, mate. He's a very tidy player. He seems to have a very clever head on his shoulders, and that cannot be said for a lot of young players his age. Him, the likes of Trent, two very experienced players, and I think he'll be getting better. But he's only still a young lad technically from his age, mate. But I think if he stays at West Ham, he's got Mark Noble there, and Mark Noble is a very seasoned professional. He'll learn so much off Mark, and he'll be asking what it'd be if a club comes in for an excess of say 80, 100 million. For me, I think you should bite their hand off, because you could, like we done with Coutinho's money, invest that heavily into more of your squad anyway, mate. But yeah, I really do rate him as a player, mate. I know some people do say he's overrated, but there is a very good footballer in there.
Cathal, anything you want to ask Jack, mate? The time is now. I think you have the first one.
It's not Declan Rice, just in general, is it?
In general, mate. Liverpool, West Ham, England, wherever you like.
God, You've fucking thrown me under the bus.
Open a can of worms.
I need to come up with one.
I
Pass it
will
around
come
and
back
I'll
to
think,
Cathal. I will come back to Cathal. West Ham Online are our students.
I had something to say on Declan Rice ready, James.
Yeah.
Go on, West Ham Online. You can get back to it, Cathal, in a minute. But go on.
Yeah.
Far away,
I
then.
just wanted to say before I say my question, I actually think what Jack just said there about Declan Rice snapping the hand off for 80 to 100 million, I think that's actually an unpopular opinion amongst West Ham fans, but I do agree with you. I'd certainly take 100 million for Rice, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I think people really underestimate what 100 million can do for you in the transfer market, and
Can't
he's
do
not
anything when you've sold Gullivan. Or
Yeah.
sold gold
Yeah.
and sold and Gullivan.
Yeah, but that is the problem, and I'll come back to West Ham Online in 1 minute. But that's the problem. We can go and get 100 million, but our owners will probably spend about 20.
Exactly.
So it's a bit it's a bit of an issue. Go on, West Ham Online.
Yeah. Personally, I think I would accept that, but Jack, to the question to you, obviously you've had Van Dijk out injured this season, and he's been a huge loss. Matip and Gomez also have had injury worries. Would you sign a top centre half, or would you just sign another backup like a Kabak or someone like that? Because I think if you were to go out and to get, say, a player on the level of a Konate who you've been linked with, I think that would just elevate Liverpool even more.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. Spot on, as always. I think it's important, and I think Liverpool will sign Kabak. I think 18 million, the way he's coming to the Prem, mate, he's played very well for such a young lad anyway, 20-odd years old, Turkish international. Many players would come into a big club like Liverpool or West Ham and really bottle it, but he's a young lad with an old head on young shoulders, might that be said. I think we need to sign a big player. Look what Man City done last season. They went shit. Liverpool were 20-odd points ahead of us. We need to address the centre-back position, and they went and bought Diaz. I know they loved a good transfer, Man City, don't they? You see, every centre-half seems to be about 50, 70 million anyway, so we can't do that. But I think the recruiting from Liverpool, and especially Michael Edwards, has been absolutely spot on. Spot on, mate. We need to... I think Koulibaly's been rumoured. I know he'd be 29, 30 years old, but you look at the likes of Sergio Ramos, legendary defenders, Ferdinand, Vidic, they've got better as they've got older, especially at centre-half. But yeah, mate, I go for Koulibaly. Yeah, Agbona, yeah. He's I know everyone jokes about him, but he's got a lot better at West Ham, especially when he's got a manager alongside David Moyes that knows what he's doing, tells him where to be anyway. Sometimes centre halves make it a lot more difficult. Half the time, you're like, "What are you doing? Just dribbling it. Just get it up the pitch." I know a lot of people with me, a lot of me Everton mates when John Stones was
Craig Dawson would love you for saying that.
Yeah, well, Phillips at Liverpool, he just seemed, if you threw him a brick, he'd absolutely headed it away. Old
James,
school defender.
What do you want to ask Jack, mate? And then I'll leave the final one to Cathal once he's realised he's got a question to give him.
Yeah, I just want.
I've got one, James. Don't worry.
That's right, mate.
Yeah. Do you think? So you obviously think centre back needs strengthening. Like, who is your preferred target and why?
Koulibaly, just so we don't play Napoli ever again in the Champions League, mate. He's an absolute nightmare. He's a Salah. Salah's always in his back pocket. I really do rate him. I know he's getting on now, Koulibaly, but I think he's very good. Yeah, it's Napoli would probably they're never going to sell him cheaply, but I think
want that move though. He doesn't want to end his career at Napoli. Like there's nothing for him there. He's nearly 30 now as well.
Yeah, Konate's been mentioned. I think Liverpool have signed him up, but he's another player with a bad injury record as well. But Koulibaly, I'd love. It'd be my dream signing because what he's done for Napoli and obviously winning the Italian Cup, I think it was last season or the year before. He's surrounded by, no discredit to Napoli, but not the best players. I think if you put him alongside Virgil van Dijk, that'd just be absolutely ridiculous. Trying to get past those two. But who's to say Van Dijk and Gomez are going to be coming back the players that they were. You never know with injuries, do you? So it's always it's going to be the thing next season. If Van Dijk has missed a bit of pace or Gomez has lost a lot of pace, obviously both of them are very good centre halves. They read the game very well, but you never know with injuries how well they're going to come back.
Yeah.
And Cathal, your question, son.
So mine, I don't know if it's going to be controversial because I know this lad is very 50-50 with Liverpool fans. I know. Bobby Dazzler himself, Mr. Firmino. I don't see him as a striker myself. This defensive striker labeling is a load of bullshit, I think. Who do you think Liverpool need to go out within realistic sort of reason? Someone that you think they could get. Who is your striker target that you'd want yourself?
Yeah, we all love Bobby, but I think this season you only have to see the amount of chances missed. He has big opportunities, and the one thing that has frustrated all of us this season is we've had chances, we just haven't finished them. I know it's so simple football for us fans, but it's so difficult to get a goal getter, and it's the hardest thing to do in football is to score goals. For me, Daka at Salzburg anyway. He's very young, he's pacey, getting behind anyway. But I think Daka, he'd be a player if he did come to Liverpool. He wouldn't cost an astronomical price tag.
30 to 40. I think we were linked with him as well.
Yeah, I think he'd offer Liverpool a bit more pace up front. And I think going forward, you're spot on there, boys. When you've all watched Bobby, he doesn't guarantee your goals. The front three look absolutely knackered. They've played a lot of minutes over the last 3 years. And as Jay has well mentioned tonight, all the best strike partnerships in world football. You look at Neymar, Messi, and I was going to say Mbappe. Then probably in the future, but who was playing in MSN? Yeah, Suarez. There we go. There's been talk of Suarez coming back. No, thank you. Even though he's a world-class player, but yeah, Daka, mate, being reasonable. It could be so easy for me to say Haaland. But considering the amount of uproar,
that's much better. That's the sort I was looking for, more like a realistic answer, because no one knows that Haaland fella.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you a question, Jack, and to wrap it up, mate. But Harry Kane is in Tottenham, and he's looking to leave in the summer for Champions League football and to win trophies, basically. I know it's a mad question, but could he possibly go to Liverpool, mate, under Jurgen Klopp?
I love him as a player. He's a very good player, no doubt, when he just played for Spurs, but he needs to move. Hopefully it's not City, because I tell you, if he went to City, I'd take him, but it's at the right price, because Daniel Levy is an absolute disgrace.
I don't think you'd be able to afford him.
No one would be able to afford him.
Hail to that one.
Yeah. He'd be asking, it was the fiasco in which he had with Modric when he left for Real Madrid. It was crazy. He's a very good player, mate, but I don't think anyone in the top four can really afford him, apart from only Man City and obviously Real Madrid, possibly if he went there, or a PSG. I think he'll go PSG. If there was a team out there, I think Poch should do everything to really sign him.
Yeah, better version of Icardi.
Yeah, I do. Right, I'm going to wrap it up now, lads. Right, Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I really appreciated you coming on tonight.
Thank you very much for having me on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
lovely to speak to every single one of you. And good luck to all the Yammers this season.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so, mate. I hope so. Cathal, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, James.
West Ham
Thanks,
Online.
Jack, as well.
West Ham Online. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, James. Hopefully do another show soonish.
Yeah. And James, be safe over in Canada, mate. All the best to you. And that's been Jack, mate. Go and follow him. He's Jack Mack, LFC on Twitter and all that. Really appreciate you coming on, Jack. For me personally, I'm new to all this, and I've only been doing it last 3 months. So to have you on, and it's a pleasure, and you're always welcome here, mate.
James, I was just going to say, I think the fact that you've said Jack, mate, quite a lot has made me realise I think Jack actually does look a little bit like
Jack. I love him, Jack, mate. He's funny, yeah.
Oh, Jack knows it's all love, so it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Right. Thanks for watching View from the Sidelines tonight, everyone. I really do appreciate it, mate. It goes a long way for me and everything, and for the channel and everything. Yeah. I'm going to try and get some more opposition fans on over the next coming weeks and try and get it interacting coming towards the end of the season. I'll have Jack on again soon, maybe towards the end of the season, and see if we're both in the top 4, if one of us misses out, and we'll discuss it then. But I want to thank all the people who've been watching, all the people, subscribe if you're new, like, share, and all that. And Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming on, and take care all.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.